3.5 years old and continued to play for a semi-professional team here in the Bay Area. Played college soccer, live, breathe, eat soccer, and have always wanted to stay connected to the game somehow. I think a lot of players, or athletes in general, if they play a college sport, or even if they play just a high school sport, they get to this point where they'd love to stay involved in the game, but they think their only kind of avenues to do that are to either play professionally. Most people know that they're not good enough to get drafted, or they can go into coaching, which is a great career choice for some people, but sometimes doesn't pay the bills necessarily. And so I kind of get stuck with, how do I stay engaged with this game when one of those two avenues aren't really the right fit for me? So this company really developed out of that passion and love for the game. And also, I think perseverance is a really, really important key for success. So I started this company when I was 19. I'm 24 now. It's been 5 years of grinding it out, getting a ton of no's, especially when I was in college, and then moving out into the Bay Area. And recently, in the last like 6 or 8 months or so, even since I took in this class last semester, have really just seen a ton of growth. And it's been the culmination of years and years and years of talking about this and sharing my story, sharing my vision for how I wanted to attack the recruiting process for athletes. And I know this class focuses a lot on failures and how do you recover from failures and things like that. And so I'll tell you some of the stories of times I've been told no, or have totally failed as an entrepreneur and had to pick myself back up and keep going. And I think that people who are successful are honestly the people who just don't quit. I think a lot of people have great ideas and sometimes just give up a little bit too early before they actually would be successful. From my personal experience, I was an English major in college. I was planning on going to law school. I was not planning on being an entrepreneur or starting a company ever. But I came out to the Bay Area. My sister actually started a company called Food Spotting back in 2009. And she actually went on to sell that company for $10 million to Open 3.5 years ago, and just joined Facebook this week as the product manager for the app experience. So she's running mobile at Facebook. And when I came out to visit my sister, though, way back in high school, I was talking to all these tech entrepreneurs. My sister was just starting this company, and I didn't really understand entrepreneurship at the time. But I asked some people, how do you come up with a good idea? Because I feel like everything I would think of, someone else has already done, especially if it's an app. And they gave me the advice that you need to think of a problem that you've personally experienced and try to come up with a solution to it. And so around that time, I had just met up with one of my old teammates that I grew up playing soccer with, and she had not gotten recruited to play college soccer. So she was in college, she was going through that experience, but she wasn't able to play this game that she had spent 18 years of her life trying to get recruited and continue playing. And I just saw the toll that had taken on her. So she was really suffering from depression and anxiety of putting all this work in, and her identity was so wrapped up in this game. And suddenly it was ripped away from her, not because she wasn't talented enough to play at the next level, but just because she couldn't make the right connections and this process was really broken. So this was a problem that was kind of weighing on me. And I had just had that conversation right before I met all these tech people out in San Francisco. And so this was the problem that I was kind of thinking on. And so once you have that problem, you need to come up with a solution to it. So it's about brainstorming, thinking of creative ways that you could change a system or a problem to make it work. So I always like to put this slide in here because I think sometimes we have an idea of what an entrepreneur is or a CEO. And really, it does just start with a problem and a solution. I was honestly just an English major, reading a lot of literature in college, and I had this idea. No business background at all. I had never taken a business class, never taken an accounting class, but I really just learned how to do this on the go. And anyone really can be an entrepreneur. So I think it's really important to know that. And I think it's cool to be able to see examples of people who started companies in college who were just like you guys. You guys are ahead of where I was. You're taking a business class right now. And that you can also do this too. So I'm going to show just a quick little demo video of our actual product and how it works. Hopefully the sound will play. If it doesn't, let's look at the idea. varsity recruiting is players have like an athletic resume, so it's called a profile. And it's generally a piece of paper that they take to a tournament or something like that, and a parent will literally stand on the sideline handing out these paper resumes to any college coach that happens to walk by the field. Or the player might get a list of the college coaches who are supposed to come to this event, and they might mass email out their profile to like 100 schools. And what we found the problem is that coaches were receiving almost 1,500 emails per month from prospective players, most of which were kind of ascribing to this idea of, I need to get more and more and more exposure. It's about getting my name out to as many coaches as possible. But the problem was that it wasn't creating enough quality leads really for those coaches. And so a lot of profiles were just getting ignored or overlooked or things like that. And the other big thing is to get recruited, it's about getting a coach to actually watch you play. So connecting them on the field, which is something that we've really focused on. So this is just a piece of kind of the product that we've worked on, but the basic core part of it is this mobile app where players now have their profile on our app. Coaches have the same thing, and when they go to an event, they actually check into that event, like you would check into a location on Foursquare or Swarm or something like that, and you can see who else is actually at the same event as you, and then share your profile, your information with up to 10 college coaches. So we limit the number of profiles that you can share, because that tells the coach, hey, if I only get 10 shares, this player is showing some pretty genuine interest in my school. And what we found from the college coaches is that they're pretty willing to try to make every effort to actually go watch that player play if they know that they've been placed in that player's top 10. And so same for coaches, they can also set these search filters that you can see here. So when you're at an event, the coach can look for a player as a GPA between 3.5 and 4.0, plays forward, is from a certain area of the country, whatever, and it filters out the players who match that. And so that's a piece of our product. We do a lot more than that now as well. So since this class is about a little bit about failure and how you respond to it, I wanted to give you guys one tangible example of when I was in college and really didn't see how this company could get off the ground. So like I said, I'm from Pittsburgh, so I went to school back in Pennsylvania, and I applied to get into this accelerator program called Alpha Lab. At the time, it was ranked number 6 in the country. And I applied for that and also an internship with the National Soccer Coaches Association for that summer. And I kind of put my eggs in both those baskets. So I woke up on a Monday morning and I checked my email. And the first email I read is from the NSCAA, this National Soccer Coaches thing. And it says I got rejected from the internship. So like, all right, well, I really hope I get into Alpha Lab because it was my only other option for this summer. And I woke up to an email that said basically that I was rejected. And in the email it said, generally we don't give feedback to anyone who's applied. We just have so many people that apply. But in the email they left open this little note and they said, we really found you to be a compelling person and you're really young and you're really passionate about what you're doing. So if you would like feedback, we'd be willing to do a call with you. And so on Monday, on Wednesday I had this call. The interviews for this program, they had about 300 companies that applied to get in. They're going to interview 20 companies on Friday of that week. So Monday get rejected, Friday's the interview, on Wednesday do this call, and on that call I convinced them to give me the 48 hours later. This is also during my midterms week, and so those 48 hours between Wednesday and Friday were some of the busiest I've had in my life. I had never done a pitch before, so I had no idea what a pitch deck was. I did not know what these types of investors were looking for. All I knew was the problem I was working on and the solution, and I knew my market. And so I had done Startup Weekend actually earlier that semester, and had done pretty well in terms of that. And so I made one connection of this guy who's actually an alumni of my college who knew the people who'd be interviewing me. So I texted him literally at midnight Wednesday night. It's like, Darren, I convinced him to give me an interview, can we meet? And so we met Friday morning at 6 a.m. and we put together my entire pitch deck, and I pitched at 11 a.m. And so this was a follow-up email that I had sent after I pitched. That says, this was an emotional week for me, starting on Monday with the decision not to interview Profile Caster, and then obviously ending with our exciting time together yesterday. I think this week was a perfect example of what the entrepreneurial journey is like, full of ups and downs. As an athlete and now as a CEO, I've learned to never give up on my dreams and the importance of having an unshakable faith in my ability to get the job done. I've been working on Profile Passer for the last year and a half, and I'm so excited to see what this company is able to accomplish this summer. Fast forward a few months later, I ended up getting into Alpha Lab, so I was one of 6 companies accepted into the program. And out of my cycle, I'm one of 2 companies that are still alive today. And so I think this is just a really good example of not giving up. And like I said at the kind of beginning, it's that perseverance. People who are successful are honestly the people who just never quit and who have this unshakable vision of like what they're trying to accomplish. They know their problem really intimately, and they know what they're building is going to work. And so when you get no's, it's about pushing back on those no's, and sometimes convincing people to give you what they said no to originally, and trying to prove them wrong sometimes. So this is a picture from my demo day. So at the end of Alpha Lab, you do a demo day. I pitched in front of 500 investors, media, friends, and family from around the nation. I was the youngest person ever accepted into the program. And this was like, I love this photo because it just captures so much work from my senior year of college. And at the time that I was doing Alpha Lab, I actually was playing my varsity sport full time. I was behind a few classes in college. I was taking 19 credits in the fall and commuting down to Pittsburgh, which is an hour away from where I went to school, 3 times a week. So I love this photo because it's just kind of the end of a really, really important chapter in the story of this company. So I'm walking through a little bit of the history of the company when I was in college, so your age. So in 2014, we got our first version of our mobile app, and we were able to actually partner with a tournament that was in Virginia, and we ran the showcase event for them. So we had over 400 players who actually checked in on the app and 50 college coaches, and the first athlete was actually successfully recruited in the first weekend, which was shocking. I didn't actually expect someone to get recruited the first weekend. I thought it would be a great way to start building connections between players and coaches, but it was pretty cool to see that happen. So then the next month we got a partnership with a tournament down in Florida, and we actually had a 98% sign-up rate, which is like an unheard of metric, which I think proved again that we were really fitting into this problem. This problem really existed and people wanted what we were offering. But being the nature of a college startup and where I was at in my career, I didn't have all the resources in place. So the technology definitely had some bugs for the first time we did that first event. And technology does break down over time. And so we definitely had some bugs going into it and didn't really have the resources or the engineering team to fix it. So I ended up not actually being able to do this event, which was really sad because we had such a high turnout rate. So at the same time, in that spring, I got an email from, I think, someone from the Alpha Lab community and then also someone in the entrepreneurship department at my college who told me about this competition that Inc. magazine was running for the coolest college startup in America. And I remember getting an email thinking to myself, some like kid from Harvard is going to win this competition. Like I went to this tiny college, Grove City College, there's 2,500 students. And so I was like, there's literally no point in even applying for this. So I ignored the email. A few weeks later, I was down in the city, taking one of my friends to an internship interview. And I had about 20 minutes to kill, and I was cleaning out my email. And I came across the email again. And I said, well, if I can build this out in 20 minutes, then like, I'll submit it, whatever. I'm never going to win this thing. Like a month later, I get an email that I was named to the top 16 called College Startups in America. And they ran this March Madness style competition where you actually got people to vote against, basically, they matched you up against another company. This company, Athlete Tracks, was out of George Washington University. They actually were in my accelerator at the same time. And it's kind of fun because we beat them. But then we ended up actually beating out this company, which was out of MIT. And I forget where Keene was originally from. But we finished in the top 4, which was really, really cool. We got a ton of press from that. So some different TV stations came to campus, some different media outlets came and interviewed me, which was really, really fun. But, again, speaking to failure, all of this is going on in my senior year of college, just kind of building. But I was having a hard time raising money at that point. And so at some point, I basically burnt out where I didn't have the funding, I didn't have the engineering resources or the team. My student loans were about to kick in. I knew that I could go get a really good job with all the experience that I had just gained. And I just couldn't figure out a way kind of forward with the company. And And so I put it on the back burner and moved to San Francisco and started over basically earlier this year. And again, it kind of goes back to passion. This was an idea that I really, really understood my market and the problem I was solving. I knew why I was wanting to do it, and it was something I really, really wanted to do. Because I really love being involved in the game and the people that make up that community. And that was what drove me kind of back into restarting this company. And so some of the biggest lessons that I've learned is just the idea of sharing your story. Every single person I meet, I talk about my company. And it really is about sharing that vision, and you never know who you're going to meet. One example of sharing my story that paid off pretty well. So there's a person back in Pittsburgh who was an assistant coach at Notre Dame. And at the time, Shannon Box, who's a World Cup player, was playing at Notre Dame. They won a national championship together and had stayed in touch. And Sumoy decided to introduce me to Shannon Box, who I convinced to be an advisor to the company. And earlier this spring, I actually went up to Portland to shoot some marketing videos with her. And while I was in her house, she looks over at me and says, so Abby Wamba, who, for some context, in case you don't know the soccer world, is a World Cup champion. She is the face of women's soccer. She holds the international goal scoring record for men or women. Has more goals than Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo. So Shannon and Abby were teammates, and Shannon says, so Abby's actually stopping by the house in like 30 minutes. And I think she'd really like your company. So I think you should pitch her. So I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And I've never really been starstruck before in my life, but this literally is like the face of all of women's soccer. So she walks into the door and she shakes my hand, she introduces herself and says, oh, hey, I'm Abby. And I pretty much froze because I was so caught off guard that she introduced herself like with her name. So I'm like, oh, I've watched so many videos about it. Like, I feel like I know you, you know? She has no idea who I am. And so basically, we ended up kind of hanging out for the afternoon and went out to dinner that night. And at the end of the night, I said, you know, hey, I'd love to share a little bit more of my vision for this company with you. I know Shannon's involved. It'd be great to get you involved in some way as well. And she said, oh yeah, sure, here's my number. Like, send me a text message. I never answer phone calls. I never respond to emails, but you can text me. And so over the next 6 to 8 weeks, basically, I was texting her about convertible notes, trying to explain investment terms to her, and waiting 5 days in between, not trying to send not too many text messages in a row, not too long, like text etiquette, and basically convinced Abby to invest in the company. Another example of sharing your story is I connected with some guys in San Francisco working on a soccer kind of pickup app in the city, and they were kind of partnering with Wells Fargo to host an event with Landon Donovan, who's also a major face of men's soccer in the US. And so I got a ticket into this like private event that was like 50 people or 100 people or so, and it's like talking about his like credit history or something, which is extremely boring. But it was Landon Donovan, so I was going to this event. And in the presentation, he talks about getting his first check as a professional athlete, and he points to his agent in the back and says, yeah, like this guy like picked me up, we went out and we bought a car when I was like 16. So I made a mental note like, oh, okay, that's his agent, I need to talk to this guy. And so at the end, they do this autograph kind of session where you get one item, and there's a security guy standing there who's making sure that you get your one item to Landon. He signs it, you take one photo, and you move along out of the line. And so in the line, the agent kind of came near me. So I told him about the company, got his card. And when I got up to Landon, I got there, I'm like, okay, practicing my elevator pitch. This is what all of my training has been about, doing Apple Lab, any kind of college competition I've done. It's all about, like, can you share your story in 30 seconds or less? And so I get up, I shake his hand, I start talking about my company, introduce myself. And I can see the security guard like looking at me like, oh, you're going to be one of the problems. Like, move you along. And basically was able to share a little bit about my story. And he said, whoa, this seems like really cool. Like, how's it different from other recruiting services? And we started talking a little bit. Handed him my card, watched him put it in his pocket, figured he might see that later. And have had several follow-up calls with him since. So you never know who you're going to meet, when you're going to meet them, but it is about sharing your story. Whether that's in person, online, everywhere you go, everyone you meet, you never know who could help you out. And I think that there is this whole idea of, if you have an idea, everyone's so afraid that someone's going to steal it. I found it's more beneficial to be able to share that story because you don't know who you're going to meet that could help you. And the people who want to steal your idea, most people aren't going to because they're probably working on their own projects, to be honest. And if you're working on something you're really passionate about and that you know intimately, most people aren't going to know your market as well as you do. And so there's more benefits to sharing than there is to keeping it to yourself. So these are some pictures. That's Landon from the Wells Fargo event, and from Shannon up in Portland. I've gotten to meet pretty much every professional soccer player I've ever dreamed of meeting in the last 8 months, which has been really cool part of this experience. But it's really cool to get so many really great brand ambassadors involved in what we're doing. So this is a quick video that Shannon and I actually shot when I was in Portland that I was going to share with you too.
What interested me about Profile Pastor after speaking with Sam and the differences that I saw was that it really connected the coaches and the players where it mattered most on the field. And it really made the players themselves narrow their focus on what schools they're very interested in, because you can only pick 10 schools when you went to a tournament or signed into Profile Pastor. And for the coaches, I thought it was a good benefit for them because they realized that these players were very interested in their schools. They weren't picking behind the schools, they were picking 10. And they were really interested in it. What I also like about Profile Pastor is that they recognize that the technology of Profile Pastor itself is not going to get a player recruited. That it takes the entire understanding of the whole process. And that's where the education piece comes in. If the education piece is going to help the player start to understand and learn how to communicate with college coaches, it's going to help them research and figure out what schools are the right fit for them. And it'll help them answer their own questions of how to narrow their focus down to the top 10 schools that they might want. Overall, Profile Pastor stood out to me because 1, it connected players and coaches on the field where it mattered most. 2, it educated players on the overall process so that they can find the right fit for them and be successful.
So a couple other things I just wanted to highlight. This has kind of led into some other side projects I've been working on that all are, I guess, trying to help me become more of a thought leader in this space. So as I've gotten to meet so many professional players, I've been really inspired, especially on the women's side of the game, by seeing more examples of women working in the game. And so I've been pretty privileged to meet people who are coaching or playing professionally or working on organizations that are still in the game, running the game. And so I was so inspired by kind of seeing more examples of women in this game. I wanted to highlight some of those stories. So I actually started a podcast called Women's Soccer Spotlight. And it's every other-ish Monday, depending on my schedule. But it features stories of women playing, coaching, and working in soccer. And it's been pretty cool because when you're trying to sell a product, sometimes people don't want you to talk to them. So you can find a way to say, hey, I just want to interview you for this podcast, and you can kind of get an intro to anyone. And so that's actually led into a lot of really great relationships where once they get to know me, can share the story of what project I'm really working on with my company as well. So one of my biggest passions, obviously, is soccer. I love technology as well. Do come from a family of entrepreneurs now at this point. We all started around the same time. But I really want to grow a career combining soccer and technology and bridging that gap. And so it's been really fun because I've actually been able to help several professional players as they've been moving into retirement, or even as they're currently playing, especially on the women's side, because they're so underpaid, start companies of their own. So one of my friends, Yael Averbush, actually is a professional player for SC Kansas City. And we just launched a company for her yesterday. And it's a technical training app. So it takes players through these training sessions that she's done her entire life. It's really cool. It has a really cool audio component, so it feels like a coach is talking to you when you do all these drills, and there's leaderboards and competitions and things. So we actually launched that yesterday, and we're only opening it up to 50 people. We got more than all 50, and we made $13,000 yesterday, which is awesome. And so it's really cool to kind of sit in this space where you get to see people who are working on their own problems and their own solutions, and combining technology and this passion. And so hopefully you have something in your life too, maybe it's not soccer, probably not soccer, that you can kind of start bridging those gaps as well. So just to end, this is something I really believe anyone can come up with a good idea, but you have the courage to actually make it happen. So follow your inner voice, hold on to it, and don't ever let go, because eventually you'll turn the corner and look back wondering why you ever doubted. And don't forget that you're never too young to start a company. So. So that is all I have for you guys. Really happy to take questions. We're around the same age, so I'm sure you guys are all